Hello and welcome back, dear friends, at Lit eCity YouTube channel. It is your digital classroom for English literature. Dear friends, in today's session, we are going to discuss the very famous play by Shri Rabindranath Tagore. The name of the play is The Post Office. In this video, we will discuss about the writer, about introduction to the play, and also discuss in detail the summary of this play. So friends, let's start our today's tutorial. सबसे पहले let's discuss about the writer, introduction to the writer. The name of Rabindranath Tagore is known to each and every Indian. He is a prolific author of more than 100 books of verse, 50 dramas, 40 works of fiction, 15 books of essays. He is also Nobel laureate. He was actually the first Indian to receive this great prize. He is recognized as a pioneer of Bengali literature, and he is internationally acclaimed as one of the finest lyric poets. Dear friends, Rabindranath Tagore actually is considered as the greatest cultural ambassador of India to the West. He is one of also the best icons of Indian philosophical spirit, his sublime vision of the universal man. So, Tagore is not just a nationalist, he is a true internationalist also. It is based on his unique integration of Eastern and Western thought. Dear friends, Tagore became the cultural ambassador of India because of influence of the English painter William Rothstein. He was the organizer of the Indian Society in London. Rothstein arranged to publish a private edition of Gitanjali, the book which is considered to be the main base for Tagore to become very popular in Europe and also in getting the Nobel Prize. In 1912, Tagore's English translation appeared, and its introduction was written by none other than W.B. Yeats. You can see some of his famous works, including book of poetry like Gitanjali, his novels like Gora, his plays like The Post Office or The Postmaster, short stories like Kabuliwala and Chokher Bali. In 1918, the money received from his writing, lectures, and Nobel Prize, Tagore founded an international university, Vishwa Bharati, at Shanti Niketan in Kolkata. So this is basic, we can say, background to the writer, the very famous writer, composer, dramatist, musician, Rabindranath Tagore. Let's talk about this particular work, The Post Office. His The Post Office is one of the most popular of all his dramatic works. Originally, it was written in 1911 and it was published for the first time in 1912. खुद टैगोर ने राइटिंग ऑफ द प्ले के बारे में एडवर्ड टॉमसन को ये बात बोली है, आई वॉज वेरी रेस्टलेस जस्ट एज आई एम नाउ. That gave me the idea of a child pining for freedom and the world anxious to keep it in its bounds. My restlessness became intolerable. I wrote Dak Ghar in 3 or 4 days. तो दोस्तों, टैगोर ने जब ये प्ले लिखा, ही वॉज एक्चुअली सफरिंग फ्रॉम अ काइंड ऑफ एंगस्ट, फीलिंग ऑफ रेस्टलेसनेस, और he took this metaphor of a sick child to present his desire, deep desire जो उनके अंदर थी, to get this kind of liberty, freedom or spiritual freedom. दोस्तों, if we talk about this work, his Bengali biographer Prabhat Kumar Mukherjee, he says, passionate feeling of wanting to go somewhere far away. It is one of the philosophical desires of some human beings. They want to get out of the particular society, जिस सोसाइटी में वो अपने आप को confined feel करते हैं. This desire made Tagore emotionally restless during this period, and the post office is the imaginative expression of this restlessness. जो उनके अंदर इच्छा थी, we can say desire थी, to go out and be free of all the constraint, उसका रिजल्ट है ये पॉपुलर प्ले द पोस्ट ऑफिस. It was first translated into English in 1914 by Devbrat Mukherjee. And a very important point, it has the rare distinction of being the only Tagore play which was performed abroad before it was staged in इंडिया. तो भारत में प्ले स्टेज होने से पहले ये आयरिश थिएटर ने इसको लंदन में 1914 के अंदर स्टेज कर दिया था, एंड इट वाज रिसीव्ड विद ग्रेट एंथुजियाज्म एंड पब्लिक बिकम मोर फैन ऑफ रविंद्रनाथ टैगोर. If we talk about Indian production, the original Bengali version was performed in 1917, and the audience look at the great dignitaries Mahatma Gandhi, Annie Besant, Lokmanya Bal Gangadhar Tilak, Lajpat Rai, and many other dignitaries were attending the first performance of this play, The Post Office. The play is actually the story of a sick boy's desire to go outside, have some adventure. और जो प्ले है इसको दोस्तों हम समझ सकते हैं एक एलेगरी की तरह. नाउ व्हाट इज एन एलेगरी? एलेगरी इज अ स्टोरी विद इन अ स्टोरी. सरफेस लेवल पर एक सिंपल स्टोरी चलती है, लेकिन बीनीथ दैट सिंपल स्टोरी देयर इज अ डीपर फिलोसॉफिकल स्टोरी. सो this play is an allegory of the yearning of a soul. एक सोल की जो yearning है, जो desire है to go beyond this mortal world. Mortal world means वो world which is to die, जिसको खुद एक दिन, चाहे वो ट्री हो चाहे ह्यूमन बीइंग हो, जिसको W.B. येट्स ने बहुत खूबसूरती से फिश, फ्लैश एंड फाउल कहा है, एंड दे ऑल विल डाई, एंड सोल remains immortal. It wants to reach the Almighty. If we talk about the main characters of the play, there are limited characters. First of all, we have Madhav. He is a middle-aged man. Amal is the protagonist of this play, the boy who is very critically ill. He is adopted child of Madhav. Sudha, she is a bright young girl whose occupation is to gather and sell flowers. There is a doctor. Then there is another important character, Gaffer. He is Madhav's friend, and later in the play we will find him guised as a फकीर. वो फकीर के भेष में भी एक important role play करेंगे. There are various visitors like the dairyman, the watchman, and the village headman whose name is Panchanan. Then we have the king. Now, it is a very interesting thing that the character of king never appears in the play directly. लगातार प्ले के अंदर रेफरेंसेस हैं किंग का, लेकिन किंग हिमसेल्फ डजंट मेक एन एंट्री. देयर इज इन द लेटर पार्ट ऑफ द प्ले द किंग्स हेराल्ड एंड द रॉयल फिजिशियन. सो ये सारे जो हैं दे मेक द कास्ट ऑफ द प्ले. नाउ वी टॉक अबाउट द समरी. दोस्तों, इस प्ले को कुछ एडिशंस के अंदर 3 एक्ट में डिवाइड किया गया है, बट जो ओरिजिनल एडिशन है उसके अंदर इस प्ले को 2 एक्ट्स में डिवाइड किया गया है. वी विल फॉलो दिस एडिशन, और मैं आपको ये भी बता दूंगा कि कहां पर लेटर एडिशंस के अंदर एक्ट फर्स्ट खत्म होता है और एक्ट सेकंड स्टार्ट होता है. Act first is set at Madhav's house, who is feeling very restless and worried. देखिए माधव जो है एक मिडल एजेड मैन है. He has an Indian doctor with him. Madhav is discussing Amal's health with the doctor. Now this doctor is fond of quoting scriptures. वो जो पुराने ग्रंथ हैं उनमें बार बार कोट करता है, उनमें से बार बार बताता है कि इस ग्रंथ के अंदर ये लिखा हुआ है. माधव इज इरिटेटेड बाय दिस बुकिश नॉलेज. ही जस्ट वांट्स टू नो दैट इफ there are chances of the recovery of the child. He tells the doctor that how, before the arrival of Amal, because Amal is the adopted child, तो अमल के आने से पहले his life was empty, but Amal brought a lot of happiness. So he wants to know what will happen to Amal, who is seriously ill. The doctor now says that it is in the hands of the Almighty. Whatever he can do, he has already done. जो वो कर सकता था सब कर दिया. And from medical point of view, he is not very confident. Now, doctor leaves. His other friend, Ghar, enters and Madhav tells him the background of the story, how Amal came to his family. His wife actually wanted to adopt a child, and interesting thing is that Madhav was originally against the idea. क्यों? Because he thought that he had earned the money with great pains and he didn't want to bequeath it to some adopted child. अब bequeath करना मतलब पता नहीं किसका बच्चा हो, बड़ा होकर कैसा बने. Madhav thinks that he has worked very hard और उसको देने से कहीं ऐसा ना हो कि जो उसने मनी इतनी मेहनत से कमाई है, वेल्थ उसने गेन करा है, इट वुड बी स्क्वेंडर्ड. नाउ अमल के आने के बाद ही इज वेरी मच अटैच्ड टू द बॉय. He himself admits that he works and earns the money for this boy and it gives him great joy. So we see that Madhav is now deeply attached to this young boy. अभी तक हम इस लड़के से नहीं मिले हैं, सिर्फ माधव अपना व्यू पॉइंट प्रेजेंट कर रहा है. Madhav also informs Ghar that the boy is actually distantly related to his wife and his biological parents both are now dead. So Madhav is actually an orphan and he has no place to go. Madhav also informs Ghar about the disease the boy is suffering from. And the only way, as the doctor has suggested, is to keep him indoors. Any exposure to the outside air will worsen the health of Amal. So the young boy, the boy who is very sick, he has to be kept indoors. बल्कि यहाँ तक है कि doors और windows को open भी नहीं रखना है. Ghar, who is kind of a wanderer, he says that he will come in the evening and he will try to entertain the boy with some indoor games. And this will be, we will see a very interesting development in the play. Now, Amal, first time in the play, he enters and he wants the permission. उसको permission चाहिए माधव से to go outside and play with the children of his own age. वो पूरा दिन देखता है किस तरह से बाकी लोग बाहर रहते हैं. Madhav actually refuses and Amal tries to persuade him. He gives example of, he says that he can see a squirrel playing outside and says that even a squirrel can play outside. जब एक गिलहरी बाहर खेल सकती है, why can't he? Madhav tells him that actually it is not him. It is the doctor's instruction that he has to deny Amal this permission. He has strictly forbidden Amal from going outside. Now, Amal says that it is not a very good kind of thing, and thus they both try to convince each other. Amal insists to go out and play, and Madhav refusing to give in to his demand. वो बिल्कुल रेडी नहीं है उसकी मांग मानने के लिए, जबकि अमल लगातार कोशिश कर रहा है उसको बताने की कि ही कैन सी थिंग्स, ही वांट्स टू प्ले. अंदर बैठकर वो बहुत बोर फील करता है. Madhav asks Amal why he wants to go out. Amal points to a far situated hill and says that he wants to go beyond that hill. There is a hill which is visible from the window. और अमल कहता है कि मैं उस हिल के पार जाना चाहता हूँ. आई वॉन्ट टू सी द वर्ल्ड बियॉन्ड दैट हिल, जो उस हिल के आगे है. Madhav scoffs, laughs at this idea, and he says that if there is wall, it means that even nature doesn't want anyone to go beyond this. वॉल है ही वहां इसलिए ताकि कोई उसके पार न जा सके. नो वन कैन गो बियॉन्ड इट. अमल फिलोसॉफिकली रिप्लाइज. वो बहुत ही इसके अंदर एक मेटाफरिकल लैंग्वेज यूज करता है, एंड ही सेज दैट ही डजंट थिंक that this hill is an obstacle. Rather, he thinks that earth is beckoning, signal कर रही है earth अपने दोनों hands को उठाकर, come here, come here. So it is more like an invitation to go and explore. So here we can see the contrasting viewpoint between the father and the son. Father is actually a traditional person. He wants to limit himself in that particular periphery, उस एरिया के अंदर, जबकि the boy is adventurous. He wants to explore the nature. Amal further says that even on that morning he saw a person going from there. The man had a bamboo stick on his shoulders and a brass pot in his hand. When Amal asked him where he was going, the man told him that he was going in search of some work. काम की तलाश में जा रहा था. Amal now asks Madhav if he can also go and search for work. He also want to do this kind of work. Now Amal again talks about the man and says that this old man stopped near a stream to rest, ate gram flour. Amal was fascinated by his simple life, how he was very free to go anywhere. Amal asked his auntie, wife of Madhav, to allow him to go to that stream. He also wants to be a person like that old person. He wants to have this company, beautiful, serene company of nature. Now, Amal expresses his desire to go far, far away, searching for work and enjoy the outside world. On the other hand, Madhav listens wistfully, feeling pain because he knows that Amal will never grow up to that stage. Amal has a very short life, and he cannot argue with this young boy anymore, so he leaves, advising him to not to talk to strangers as someone may kidnap him. So this is again becomes a point, and Amal is excited about this prospect that he would be kidnapped. And in his childlike innocence, he says that it will give him an opportunity to get out of the four walls of the house. So it is, even if it means being kidnapped, he is ready for this adventure also. Friends, in some editions, here the first act ends, but in the original edition, this act continues. So we will continue our story. The first visitor, who is a dairyman, who is selling curds in a particular sing-song tone, he enters the scene. Amal stops him. Amal is a very curious boy and tells him about his desire to go out. The dairyman informs. Dairyman first says that why should you go out? You should stay here and become a pandit, become a learned person. And Amal says, no, I also want to go from one place to other place. And then dairyman informs Amal about his village. And Amal says that with your description, it seems he had already visited the village, but he can't remember when it happened. The dairyman is greatly surprised because Amal has provided very accurate details of his village. And so he says, it seems, yes, you must have visited the village, but Amal is not able to remember how it can be possible. So Amal once again shares his desire to go to his village and sell curd like him. Dairyman is amused. He says, you have everything. You are born in a very good house. So you should learn more about your studies. Amal says, no, no, no. Everyone says me that I should read books, but I want to go outside. Then Amal says that I want to learn your particular tune in which you sell your curd. And dairyman is again amused. Anyway, he says, okay, this is the way I sell the curd. Then he says to Amal that if you want some curd, Amal says, I don't have the money. The dairyman gives him curd for free and leaves after thanking him because he learnt an important lesson that one can be happy even while selling curd. He finds that Amal finds his work very interesting. So he now understands that even selling curd is not boring or a tiresome work. So he thanks Amal and he goes from there. The next visitor is a watchman who is passing by his window on his routine duty. Now, a watchman is a person who rings the gong to tell the common people about different phases or stages of time. Amal calls him. He angrily warns Amal that he would take him to the king for his nuisance, that he should not disturb the watchman from performing his duty because he has to follow the time very accurately. Amal tells him how the doctor has ordered his confinement, किस वजह से उसको पूरा टाइम रहना पड़ता है उस कमरे के अंदर, and also asks the watchman to ring his gong for him. The watchman refuses, and once again there is a philosophical touch. Watchman says that it is not in the hand of the watchman or for Amal. He rings only when it is due time. Here we can also understand that watchman is referring to the time of one's life. When a particular time comes, nobody can escape it. Maybe the time is time of death or something else. So he says very well that we cannot dictate time, but we are dictated by the time. He also tells Amal that the sound of the gong reminds people that time stops for none. And the watchman then explains one day everyone has to follow the same path. In life, they may have different paths, different categories, but finally, death will overtake all of them. Perhaps one day the doctor will hold his hand and take him away too. Here, Amal says, no, no, it can't be possible because the doctor always tells him to stay inside. Then watchman says that he is not talking about any common doctor. He is referring to a greater doctor who can set you free forever. Obviously, the watchman is talking about death. The doctor here is Yam, the god of death. and whose orders everyone has to follow. Amal does not understand his symbolic language and expresses his desire that may this great person comes soon. Once again, the watchman is amused by this strange desire. Now, Amal talks to this watchman and asks about a building which is always thronged, crowded with people coming and going from there. The watchman tells him that that building is the king's post office, and in this building, letters arrive for everyone. He tells the curious boy that one day a letter may also arrive for him, and when Amal asks who will write to him, he doesn't know anybody outside this home. तो कौन लिखेगा उसको लेटर? The watchman says the king himself writes notes to little children. Once again, the king we understand is either the Almighty or it may be the king of death, Yamraj himself. Excited, Amal asks him many questions like when such letter will come, who will bring it to him, etc. etc. Now the watchman says that postmen go from door to door delivering letters every day, and Amal is very much excited by the nature of this duty of a postman. He says he would also like to become a postman when he grows up. The watchman suddenly saw the village headman coming their way and tells the boy he must leave before the headman sees him having a talk with a boy. The headman is rather a grumpy fellow, so the watchman doesn't want to be chided for wasting away his time. He leaves the boy daydreaming about a letter to him from the king and the problem regarding who will read to him. He thinks that his auntie will read to him, but remember that his auntie is always reading Ramayana or Mahabharata or some other religious text. Then he thinks some other person, but he is not sure whether they are literate to read a letter or not. Madhav himself does not know how to read or write, so this is the confusion in his mind. Now, Amal greets the headman, the grumpy and arrogant person. And he sees that Amal is acting like he is reading a letter. This headman haughtily asks him why he is calling him. Amal says, please help him in this matter. He wants the headman to inform the postman his name and address so that when they can find him when a letter arrives from the king. Now the headman is a stupid fellow. He can't understand the reference and he thinks that the boy is talking about the real earth king. Headman mocks him for his foolish assumption that the king would write to such a rustic, simple, unimportant boy. Now he further says that he will inform the king in a mocking, satirical manner about the boy's impudence and will report about the Madhav also. Amal is hurt by his sarcastic and indignant tone and requests him to forget the matter. However, the headman leaves only after threatening the boy. He will soon see the consequences of his impudence. जो वो दिखा रहा है कि he may receive a letter from the king. He will surely see what will happen now as headman decides in his mind that he will teach the boy a lesson. Next, Amal witnesses a girl passing from there and he stops her too. The girl asks him to quickly tell his purpose as she is already late. Actually, the girl is a flower gatherer. Amal tells her how he also longs to go out but can't because the doctor has instructed so. He wants to know more about the girl who tells him her name, Sudha, and that she is the daughter of a flower seller. Amal is excited again on learning that she gathers flowers in the morning and he offers to pluck flowers for her from higher branches. The girl is amused by his fancy ideas, but suddenly realizes that she is getting late for gathering flowers. And though Amal tries to stop her for a little more, she promises to come back after gathering the flowers and also to gift him a flower. She says that she will remember him. As Sudha departs, Amal now finds a group of boys passing from there to play in the fields. Amal again wishes he could also go with them, but tells when the boys asks Amal to come out and play with them, he tells that he can't because of the doctor's instruction. The boys ask him to ignore the instruction and come with him. Now Amal knows that he can't do so, so he requests them to play in front of his window so that he can watch them playing. He offers all his expensive toys to them in return, and boys are quite excited by this offer. Amal actually gives them his toys. But now, when the boys are playing with his toys, he has been sitting for such a long time. Amal feels exhausted and feels very sleepy. There is the sound of the gong, and the boys are ready to go. Amal asks them one last thing about the king's postman, and the boys assure him that if there is a letter for him, the postman will definitely come to him. With this, we come to the end of the first act, and in the second part of this tutorial, we will discuss about the act second and some important themes of the play. Till then, dear friends, keep supporting, keep watching, and inform me how we can improve the quality of these videos. Thank you, dear friends, once again.